Hello everyone and welcome to this edition of Talk Wrestling here on NoDQ.com, MySpace.com, and YouTube. Thank you very much for being patient with me and coming back. It's been a long time, but I appreciate all your patience and all your dedication to the show. I appreciate all the questions that have come in. This show we're going to talk about Wrestlemania, the Hall of Fame, and the new arrival in my life. That's going to be this show. Next show, we'll get to your questions. I apologize. I know I said we get to your questions this show, but this show is going to be about Wrestlemania, about the Hall of Fame, and about my new experience in life. So I apologize for that. But the questions are saved. They're right here. We'll get them on the next show. I promise. So here we go with this episode. The Hall of Fame. Let's talk about that first. Very disappointed in the Hall of Fame ceremony this year. I went to the Hall of Fame back in 2005 as well, and I was much more happy with the last Hall of Fame than this one. The fans weren't quite as obnoxious as they were this year. The fans this year were very over the top. They didn't know when to quit. Basically, they would chant at Cena every 2 minutes. Cena sucks, and they would boo him, even though he's in the main event of the biggest show of the year, one of the main events of the biggest show of the year. They still, it's like he doesn't suck. It's very obvious he doesn't suck. Yes, he has a limited moveset, but you know what? So did Hogan for 20 years, and Hogan was the most over guy in the history of being over. He was. It's the way it is. Cena is over. Let's just face it. Face reality, folks. And they would woo every time Flair would talk. They would woo every time anybody would talk. They wouldn't let people finish their speeches. They made The Rock's speech go on for ever and ever, it seemed like. I don't know if you've seen... Aaron, did they show the full speech from The Rock on the Hall of Fame ceremony? No, they didn't. Okay. Well, basically, The Rock's speech went about 20 minutes too long. Let's put it that way. Because he kept responding to everything the fans chanted at him. So... that'll show up on the Wrestlemania DVD 3-disc DVD that's coming out on May 20th. You'll see what I'm talking about, and hopefully they don't edit it out because it was long. The night just drug on, and Flair got a limited amount of time as a result. And Flair was the main event of the Hall of Fame, essentially. He was the last guy on. He should have been given the most time. He was retiring, even though he wasn't really retiring. We didn't know for sure. Yeah, right. But I felt it was in very poor taste that the fans were a little bit over the top, and a lot of them weren't dressed the part, if you know what I mean. They weren't dressed for a ceremony of that magnitude. They were dressed in t-shirt and jeans, and it's like, come on, guys. It's the WWE Hall of Fame ceremony. Wear something nice. I was in a nice shirt and dress pants, and it was disgusting to me. Oh, well. WrestleMania the next day, after being in the Magic Kingdom. Prior to that, we went to the Magic Kingdom early in the day, and we drove from there to WrestleMania in a taxi cab. It cost us $50. Gotta love Florida. Anyway, WrestleMania was okay. I thought the WrestleMania I went to in 2000 was a little bit better, but I will say that I was happy with the outcome in the main event. Undertaker vs. Edge was phenomenal. Great match, and I loved the submission ending. I love Edge tapping out to the Undertaker, not once, but twice, because he did it at Backlash too. Even though Undertaker kept on a little bit longer at Backlash, that was cool. But, other than that, I was very underwhelmed with WrestleMania this year. I felt that the Battle Royal that they had pre-WrestleMania was a little bit quick. And the payoff was a 9-second match, 8-second match, whatever it was, with Chavo and Kane. That was lame. Batista versus Umaga stands out as being particularly bad. I was very bored. I almost fell asleep in that match. It was like a bathroom break type match. Usually the Divas match is a bathroom break match, but the Divas match was actually pretty good considering who it was. The WWE title match was bad, I thought even. Those three guys are the flagship guys on the flagship show, and they didn't deliver. It was sad. Mayweather and Big Show, you all saw that. It took brass knuckles, 3 chair shots, and interference from his bodyguards to beat him. And Mayweather was supposed to look strong in this fight, and he looked weak. He did. Bottom line. What else happened in WrestleMania? Like I said, the Diva match was okay, considering, the participants, and considering that I couldn't see much of anything. If I'd been sitting closer, I probably would have enjoyed the match more because they were dressed nicely. But I loved Santino Marella getting the clothesline from Snoop Dogg. That was awesome. I love Snoop Dogg, and I hate Santino Marella, so it works out. WrestleMania. What else happened? Money in the Bank was even not as good as the previous 3, in my opinion. John Morrison stood out in that match. His moonsault with the ladder, holding on the ladder onto the other guys, was really cool. I thought the spot that Shelton Benjamin took, the bump he took onto the ladder through another ladder, or off the ladder through another ladder, whatever it was kind of like, okay, Shelton doesn't need to be doing that kind of stuff. He's a great athlete. He doesn't need to be proving that he can take, sick bumps like that. That was just, again, it's my show, it's my opinion, It is. Oh, Flair and Shawn Michaels. Duh, I'm wearing the Flair shirt. I would remember that, wouldn't I? That was the best match of the night, Flair and Shawn Michaels. You got a 60-year-old guy and a 40-year-old guy carrying the show. That says a lot. Yes, they are two of the greatest, if not the two greatest of all time. But a guy Flair's age and a guy Michaels' age should not have to carry the show. And they did. They did. Undertaker and Edge and Flair and Michaels were that whole show. If it wasn't for those two matches, I would have been pissed about going. As it is, I'm not very happy that I went. I'm happy that I got to spend time with my dad. I'm happy that Dad got to see his favorite wrestler of all time win the world title at WrestleMania, continue the undefeated streak, etc., etc. And I'm very honored to have been a part of Ric Flair's last match ever. I mean, I said it in my blog, 74,000 people out of 6 billion on the planet. I like those odds. That's really cool for me to have been a part of that live and in person. And, be able to give Flair the standing ovation that we did. It was incredible. What was funny about the whole night was after the show, I found out the next day about the big fireworks disaster, the big fireworks explosion, whatever it was. Apparently it happened right behind us, and we didn't even know. We left the arena, we left the stadium that night, and we walked down and down and down the ramp, and we left. We went back to Disney, we slept, we got up, went to the Animal Kingdom the next day. We got back from the hotel, and Mom was like, "Did you hear about what happened? Are you guys okay?" And we're like, "What are you talking about?" And I'm like, "Yeah, there's this big old explosion," and we were like, "Okay, we didn't know." Very funny. We were just oblivious. We were just so enthralled with WrestleMania, I guess so enthralled with the fact Undertaker had won the world title, and that the night had ended on a positive note, that we were just overwhelmed by everything, I guess you can say. And then I come home April 1st. Jade and I went to the hospital April 2nd for an OBGYN clinic appointment, and we ended up not leaving the hospital for a week. Dylan was born that Friday, the Friday after WrestleMania, if you can believe it. We went back, we went to the appointment. Her mom was saying, Jade's feeling this, Jade's feeling these pains, Jade's feeling that emotion, Jade's doing this, Jade's doing that. Turns out she was in labor. She was in labor. While I was gone, she went into labor. And she was having labor pains. So we checked into the hospital Wednesday night. We stayed there. Jade and I were at the hospital, all day, every day until the following, I believe, Tuesday or Wednesday. And Dylan came home a week later. Dylan was in the hospital for 2 weeks. Very trying time for me and my family. We were really scared for him. He wasn't eating right. He wasn't eating enough. And we were very emotional. Obviously, I still am a little emotional. You can tell I'm starting to get a little teary. You can hear it in my voice. But he's home. He's right in there. He's happy. He's a happy boy. He's very, very outgoing baby. You can feel it. He's gonna be a superstar. He is. He's gonna have a great life. I feel that. I truly do. He's got a great family surrounding him. He's got a great mom. Hopefully, I'm gonna be a great dad for him. And we have a good support system in place, and we have friends that love us and appreciate us, and we have friends that want to help out. We have people like Aaron and Beth and Jamie and Lee and Mike and Josh and everybody that want to help out as much as they can. They volunteer to come over here all the time, and it's great. And my best friend Allison is over here, Dylan's godmother, Jade's sister, his other godmother. Even Jack Evans, wrestler from Ring of Honor and PWG, his godfather. How's he doing? He's doing okay? Everything's okay? He calls me all the time. It's great. And so we're very happy. We're settled in. The baby's home. Everything's good. I came back from a great trip in Florida. I was there for a week. We went to Walt Disney World. We were there for a week, like I said. Went to Wrestlemania, went to the Hall of Fame. Those were both okay. The whole point of the trip was Wrestlemania. It was kind of like, Disney was better. Disney was better this time. And now the baby's home and everything's great. And I appreciate everybody watching today's episode of Talk Wrestling. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed my thoughts on WrestleMania. Hope you enjoyed my thoughts on the Hall of Fame. Whether or not you did, let me know. That way I can get good feedback, bad feedback. Let me know what's up. And we'll be back with your questions next time on Talk Wrestling.